From Zoom, you're doing from Zoom to YouTube live. It looks like live on YouTube right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what
Oh,
was trying to do here. And I'm just trying to make sure this thing goes. I don't know why it goes into Internet Explorer. I hate Internet Explorer. But so be it.
I didn't know people still used it.
I know, right? It's like for some reason it just default goes into it. All right. Come on, give me the link. I'll put it out. Okay. I'm set to fly if you are.
Yep.
Cool. Well, with 3, 2, and 1. Not the half the football that I think most Notre Dame fans were hoping for, myself included, Jeff Fair included. 24-3, we sit at halftime right now with Clemson on top of Notre Dame, and we decided to kind of just do this right when Avery Davis overran a ball and got a little too cute with things and got a little too fancy with things. And I don't know, Jeff, my first thoughts are a lot of self-infliction, a lot of just, oh my goodness, what the heck are you doing here? A couple things from Notre Dame early on, but a lot of shooting themselves in the foot. And all of a sudden you let a couple of those happen against a team as good as Clemson, a guy that's playing as well as Trevor Lawrence is, and boom, it's 24-3 when you dominate really 13 minutes of the first 15 minutes of the first quarter and you have really nothing to show for. And now I think we kind of started the conversation with ourselves. Second half, you're playing for your playoff lives based off of what you've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, you said it very, on the point right there that you can't miss opportunities when you're playing Clemson. You absolutely can't. And in the first game between them, they did a little bit of the same thing where they're kicking field goals in touchdown situations, and they got away with it the first time. Now this time, come down there, kick a field goal on the first drive, and then some really, and I think you mentioned in the text that some really weird play calling by Tommy Rees, down at the goal line after the Kyron run, where you're in a situation which seemingly would, and I had mentioned set up play action or some kind of passing, 4-down territory there to get a touchdown, but to run, was it 3 times in a row they ran?
Yeah, 3 right in a row.
3 times in a row at the goal line was very odd. Yeah, and I think you're seeing right now the difference. There were some people that mentioned that, DJ played well in the first game. What is going to be with Trevor Lawrence coming back? And that was my biggest fear, because I think in the first game, you weren't going to get the same kind of mistakes out of the quarterback position with Trevor as you were with DJ. And I think despite the Kyle Hamilton pick that was tipped right there, which was a great Clark Lee defensive change at the line there. Trevor Lawrence he's unquestionably the best quarterback in college football and the number 1 pick. And you just can't mess around with that right now. And they are. Yeah.
I mean, it's one where in order to beat him the first time, you had to get away with a couple of things, settling for field goals too many times. You did that the first drive of this game. That drive needed to be, you thought that was going to end differently than a 51-yard field goal. Then you don't even walk away with points the second time. The play calling was kind of frustrating there for me, because it's just, you knew that field goals aren't going to beat Clemson all day. And it felt like a huge turning point right there. And yet you're still sitting, it's just 7-3. And the Avery Davis play to me, my goodness, on 4th down, I mean, I texted you right away, and I'm thinking on the 3rd down call, what the heck are you doing? 3 plays right in a row by Reese. What the heck are you possibly doing running the ball? Okay, you're going to go for it, 4-down territory. And then you execute a perfect play call, or you have a perfect play call. You just don't execute it on the receiver's side, and that turns into another score by Clemson. All of a sudden, the floodgates open. It's 24-3. I mean, I hate to be just quit at halftime. I mean, all dodgeball. We don't quit at halftime. Rah speech. But you can see what's in front of you right now. This Clemson team. You think you're going to keep them off the board? You think you're going to keep them out of the end zone twice? Only holding in the end zone 2 more times the rest of the game. You think that you're going to be able to get the 38 points? It doesn't look good here. It really doesn't look good. I mean, what do you have to see? Where's Notre Dame's case right now? If you end and say it's a 21-point game, 28-point loss in this thing, what's their case for the playoff? I mean, you have the best win of the year over Clemson as it currently sits, but Alabama, assuming they roll, are going to easily be in. Clemson then is going to be in. Ohio State, even though it was ugly, not pretty for the majority of the game today, they're going to be in. It's like Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Is there another option there? Is Notre Dame now all of a sudden the bubble team?
They have to be, and I think I know that the past isn't supposed to come into play here, but that's kind of where my head's at as a Notre Dame fan. That knowing I know already what the talking points are going to be coming out of this game. If the result stays about the same, it's going to be Notre Dame again in a big game, clear. And the other part of it too is it's going to devalue the win earlier in the season because they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. So see what happens when they do. Here's what happens when they have 3 defensive starters back. So. I don't know. It's the things that we knew Notre Dame was going to struggle with. It was, the injuries on the offensive line, 1, and 2 was going to be the cornerback play. We know that all season the cornerback play has been rough, and we're seeing the wide receivers in Clemson get separation. But the strengths that we thought we knew on Notre Dame, the front 7, the depth of the front 7, especially the front 4, they've been neutralized the entire game by the Clemson offensive line. Very little impact. And I understand Tommy trying to establish the run a little bit in this game, but even in the first game, outside of Kyron's 75-yard run, it wasn't like they were tearing the world up with the running game. It was mainly Ian Book extending plays with his legs and making plays down the field, and that's what it's going to take. So the 3rd and 6 run call was bizarre. I mean, go back to the goal line when I was talking about, but then the 3rd and 6 that you were talking about, that was really bizarre, and then leading to the 4th down, which let's be honest, should have been converted. So it's really a confluence of missed opportunities and in Clemson, getting back to 100%. That is really, it's really put us in a bad spot because you want to at least give yourself a strong argument to be put into the top 4. And right now, let me reserve my feelings for the Ohio State thing because I think it's crap to start with that the team is still getting a chance to play. I understand they're the most talented team, but it's hard to say definitively that anyone other than Alabama and Clemson should be in the top 4 right now. And the Notre Dame argument is just going to be always, well, Notre Dame got in because they're Notre Dame if they get in. And it's going to be a really rough month until a couple of weeks until the college football playoff if they get in.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you're going to hear is, okay,
Yeah.
You got boat raced again in a conference championship game in a big stage in this setting. And it's just, things started so well with this. That's the frustrating part is you face a couple of 3rd and longs at opening drive, you convert them. Skoranek has a nice play. Michael Mayer, huge again. First couple of picking up 2 first downs on 3rd downs there. And you get the 51-yard field goal that Notre hits, and it's like, okay, well, he hasn't been hitting those for a couple of weeks now. That's nice to see for a change. And then all of a sudden, you miss one play on the Davis play, and it's like everything just went to complete hell from there. You convert that, and you get into the end zone. Who knows what you're looking at? I don't look at it and think that it's that. Yes, Trevor Lawrence against Ian Book. No one's going to argue about that. Ian Book can be a solid and very fun and very good and accomplished player. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first pick in the NFL draft this year. Good luck with the New York Jets. But you see why that is, because he is 6'4", 6'5". He moves incredibly well, throws incredibly well, obviously. All that speaks for itself. And you're seeing, I think, that being a huge difference in the game. And it's just that Clemson, the moment's not too big for them. And so many times we've seen that with Notre Dame, is the moment too big for them. And against Clemson, even when they knocked them off back in early November, there were times where, I mean, really, you went 57, 58 minutes in that game without an offensive touchdown. Like you score on the first play of the game, you score on the second or third to last play of regulation. The only other touchdown in between there is the one with Owusu Koromoa on the fumble return for a score in that game. Like there have been lapses offensively in terms of getting in the end zone. And you see that again here. You get down the field and you've had opportunities, and it's just the little things. Finishing a 4th down play that should be a simple pitch and catch. And instead, Clemson gets the ball back, and the weight of the world goes on Notre Dame's defense. They're unable to get a stop. Floodgates open, and everything goes to hell again. I mean, it's just these little moments, just like kind of back in the Cotton Bowl. Has a lot of that feel to it. A lot of chances for Notre Dame early on in this, unable to convert. And you look at it at halftime, and you are completely getting run out of the gym or out of the building in this case yet again.
And part of me thinks about the fact that, Dabo Swinney at this point in their program, they're used to the long lulls in playing. Like they know how to handle those 3-week long, practice, whatever is going on in the program. And Notre Dame has really only had 2012, 2018, I mean, I don't count the years where they're going to a bowl, but it's not the college football playoff, because that's a different. I think that's a different animal. Like last year, I mean, getting Tommy Rees adjusted to being the OC, so it's not really you're gearing up for a national title. Clemson's used to that kind of stuff, and it's been how many weeks since they played last? And the North Carolina game for Notre Dame has been 3 weeks now. I
Yeah,
believe
that
three
has
weeks.
been Syracuse in between, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a few weeks and gearing up for the. I mean, so I think they're used to like getting ready for these games more so than Notre Dame is, and I think that has we don't not knowing what goes on behind the scenes, but we can get a good sense of how they come out and how they're prepared. I mean, this just doesn't look like the same Notre Dame team we've seen all season. It just they look all season long. We could count on them being more physical than the opposing team, and it just doesn't look that way right now. And
Yeah, I mean, it sort of did early on when you're seeing the
yeah,
multiple tight end sets and able to
yeah,
move the ball down the field. But I mean, you're seeing Ian Book get pressured more than Book's been pressured in quite some time, probably all season long. That's coming into account here. How many sacks has he taken already? I don't even know off the top of my head, but I know it's a heck of a lot more than he's taken in
mm-hmm.
any half so far this season. And all of that's catching up with it. And it's just an offensive line. I thought going in that Tyler Davis for Clemson, him coming back from injury and
Mm-hmm.
being available, and Jaret Patterson being out for Notre Dame, I thought that was going to be the biggest difference in this one. I thought that was the biggest reason for concern for me was, okay, obviously Trevor Lawrence is great. He's still probably going to throw the ball over the yard just like Clemson did previously. But yeah, in this case, to me, I mean, Notre Dame's offensive line, obviously you had the bad snap on, I forget what, first possession, second possession, not that it's really relevant now, but you're seeing an offensive line that usually as it goes on just gets stronger, and puts together these 7-8 minute drives. Simply not the case whatsoever in this one. And it's not where I thought we would be right now at 4:48 in the afternoon. I didn't think we'd be talking about, okay, what needs to happen? What do you need to see in the second half for Notre Dame, not to win, but to have the best case of any team to be the fourth team in the college football playoff. It's like life comes at you pretty damn fast.
Well, let me throw it back at you. What would you need to see? I mean, what do you expect? Because you have to think that right now, it's pretty blatant what the adjustments need to be for Notre Dame, and you need to sit back in some kind of zone and get pressure with the front four, because I'm sorry, those corners on an island it's just not going to work. I know that with the Kyle Hamilton or the first touchdown, the Rodgers touchdown, where it looked like Kyle Hamilton was peeking the wrong way in coverage. It was a single high safety. They had twins left, and he went toward the single side. He jumped the I think they were like a 12-yard curl on the left, and he jumped and they had a wide open touchdown. But I think the problem now is that you're still playing it as if it's not Clemson. This is Clemson. I'm sorry, but your corners are going to get roasted if you're playing single coverage on those guys, because Notre Dame's weakness all year has been, I mean, they're still trying to figure out who their top two corners are. Tariq Bracy was supposed to be the guy, and now I think you have two freshmen getting the majority of the playing time right now. So, I mean, if you're, what do you need to see at Notre Dame to say, hey, I feel better they're a top 4 team?
I mean, I think you have to see what they've done well all year. I think you need to see this offense, not even, do I say dare make it close, but I think you have to see them come out defensively, make a stop like they've done in key spots all year long. And I think offensively, you have to see a team that pretty much get a stop, get a score right away, and at least make it intriguing the first few minutes of the third quarter. Otherwise, why does anyone have a reason to watch any of this, take anything for any value whatsoever?
Yeah.
If you don't come out of the start of the third quarter and do exactly that. I mean, Clemson comes out, gets the ball, and scores. It's good night, sweetheart. I mean, and Notre Dame might not make the playoff. They might make the playoff, but does it really? I don't know. Am I supposed to watch this and think things are going to be different if you're the 4 seed and taking on Alabama in the Sugar Bowl?
It's the Notre Dame names. The names still get you a long way, but they have not. And Brian Kelly's done a great job. Let me just preface that. I mean, through his tenure, I mean, this has been an amazing run of 10-win seasons. But when it matters, there's not been enough equity built up to the point where they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. And to be honest with you, they shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued by the Texas A&M part, because pretty much you're going to look at resumes on this, and what you're going to see at the end of the day is going to be both teams having one loss on the year. Obviously, Texas A&M having a big win over Florida, which didn't get helped last week by the whole shoe throwing incident and Florida losing at home to LSU.
Still significant. Yeah,
Still, yeah,
still, yeah.
still a very good win. Notre Dame has the win over Clemson, and yeah, okay, Trevor Lawrence wasn't there. That's still a great Clemson team that you're able to get a win against. However, you look at that, and all right, what's the rest of the resume? What are the other big wins? What's Notre Dame's other biggest win? North Carolina, where they looked great defensively, but is that enough? Is that somewhere to like? Is that your rallying cry? All right, hanging my hat on that. Beat North Carolina. I beat Boston College week after beating up, or not beating up, but beating Clemson. Like those are, you don't have a deep resume in this case. Texas A&M, I'm not saying the SEC is at the level that the SEC West has been in recent years, but it carries a lot more weight when you're talking about playing in the SEC week in, week out and having that one loss than it does in the case of the ACC in South Florida as the out of conference game this year in Notre Dame's case. I mean, I think it's, to me, I did not think I'd be in this position, but it feels like it's a toss up at best if you're Notre Dame right now.
Yeah, and the good thing is that some of those undefeated teams that haven't picked up a lot of ground in the race, you got to think that if Bama wins tonight, they're definitively number one still.
Certainly,
Clemson wins, they're number two, and then Ohio State's gonna be three again. Screw Ohio State, but it's gonna be A&M and Notre Dame for four, and it's gonna be as simple as that. And does the committee want to see an Alabama A&M rematch? Or do they want to see an Alabama Notre Dame team, which Alabama Notre Dame ratings would be? I mean, not that I'm sorry, ratings are not going to be bad for the college football playoff. I think that shouldn't matter. You could throw Alabama, Coastal Carolina in there, and I think the ratings are going to be just as good. But Alabama Notre Dame is, I mean, it's intriguing, and at least you're not going to the Clemson Notre Dame well for a third time unless it's a national title game. So, and I think in that situation, a national title game, Clemson Notre Dame rematch would be intriguing. If they're able to beat Bama, then we're talking it's a whole different thing. But I think that's the argument, and I think the only thing that Notre Dame can do to make that even an argument at this point, given the strength of the SEC, is to at least make a good showing and to not have it spiral out of control to the point where it's like, okay, I mean, they won the first game, but come on, let's be serious now. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
All right. So what should we look for in the second half? We just find the best bourbon, the best whiskey around, or what are we looking for in the second half?
Well, I know I have Malnati sitting downstairs. I've got 4 more beers to go, and then we're going to dip into something. But I just think Ian Book has got to have, I mean, even if it's not a winning effort, this may have to be the most valiant effort by Ian Book in his career right here. Like, if he's the dude and he's the winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history, and talk about Brady Quinn when he finished as the most accomplished quarterback in Notre Dame history, and it went out with like a little pitter patter against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You can't beat that. And I think that's got to be defensively. I mean, there has to be something in offense. Ian Book's got to sling it, man. They got to stop with the Kyron stuff. They got to stop. He's got to sling it around.
Yeah, I agree with that part of it. I love Kyron Williams, but a little too often, a little too much for not a lot of result. You're down 21 with only 30 minutes to play. He's Jeff Fair. I'm Nick Shepkowski. Hopefully the second half goes better than this. We'll be talking Notre Dame football again sometime soon in some outlet somewhere. Enjoy the second half. Enjoy Brett Bielema as your new head coach as well, Mr. Illini.
Nice.
Take it easy.